I want to get to our man, Ted Cruz. Senator Cruz, how are you, my friend?
Mark, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. We pray for the people in Florida, the people who've suffered under Hurricane Helene and so forth. And
yes.
But I want to talk about Texas because AOC herself said if we can defeat Ted Cruz, we will change the electoral map forever. We'll turn Texas blue, and that's why they're pouring all this money into Texas. They want to defeat you. So I want you to tell the nation what's going on with the election, what you think the polls look like, and what needs to be done.
Look, we are facing the greatest electoral assault the state of Texas has ever seen. Chuck Schumer has been explicit. I am his number one target in the country. Schumer and George Soros are spending between $100 million and $150 million trying to beat me. They are flooding the airwaves with attack ads. They've been statewide on TV for 3 months, just pounding the living daylights out of me. By the way, I just got up on TV 3 weeks ago. It has been almost entirely one-sided. Every poll in this race has shown it as either a 1-point race or a 2-point race or a 3-point race. Chuck Schumer has been explicit. He sees his path to Democrats controlling the Senate as winning Texas. My last race, I won by less than 3 points. The margin was 2.6%. Schumer thinks all I need is 3 points, and I flip Texas, I beat Ted Cruz, and the Democrats keep the Senate. And so they are pounding the living daylights out of me. As you noted, just last week, both AOC and Bernie Sanders both came to Texas to campaign for Colin Allred, my very left-wing Democrat opponent. Both of them understand the stakes. AOC said, if we win Texas, we change the country for a generation. They see in Colin Allred a fellow traveler, a hard left, anti-Israel, left-wing Democrat, and they also see that they have such a money advantage that they believe they have a chance to victory. And I'll tell you, our only hope to fight back is I need your listeners right now to come to tedcruz.org, tedcruz.org, and make a contribution, $5, $10, $25, $50. Maybe someone can do 500 or 1,000. Whatever you can do, I can tell you we are getting pounded, and going to tedcruz.org, supporting our campaign now is the only way we can fight back from this deluge of campaign attack ads.
Senator Mitch McConnell, the Senate Leadership Fund run by this guy, Stephen Law. These are all rhinos. He's got a lot of money, Mitch McConnell. Last time you ran, he withheld it from you. Is he helping you this time?
Not a penny. In 2018, I was facing what was at the time the most expensive Senate race in U.S. history. I was being outspent 3-1. I won by less than 3 points. And unfortunately, Mitch McConnell spent $0 to defend Texas. He spent $300 million elsewhere, but not a penny in Texas. This time, that PAC has $400 million. They have spent $0. At the same time, Chuck Schumer is dumping millions in. They are running attack ads. When you turn on the TV right now in Texas, every other commercial is an attack ad pounding me, and it is all on one side. It is all the Democrats coming after me. And so, listen, you can't count on the Washington swamp to defend me. They don't want strong conservatives in Washington. So my base of support has always been the incredible patriots who listen to you, Mark, who stand up and fight and say, we can take America back. And I would not have gotten in the Senate in 2012 without millions of Mark Levin listeners going to tedcruz.org, supporting us then. I'll tell you, we need it now more than I ever have in any race I've ever faced.
Well, let's make this a Levin surge. Anybody who can help, this is the time. This is the race. tedcruz.org, tedcruz.org. Any amount of money that you can give him, it'll go right up on the commercial and TVs to try and push back. Now, this guy, Colin Allred, or whatever the hell his name is, explain how radical he is.
Well, his first 4 years in the House, he voted with Nancy Pelosi 100% of the time. He's voted for open borders over and over and over again. He's voted against the border wall 3 separate times. He calls the border wall, quote, that racist border wall, and he's pledged to personally tear down, quote, that racist border wall. But right now he's running millions of dollars of ads across Texas with him posed in front of the thing he calls that racist border wall.
I notice the Democrats don't actually want to run against the person they're running against. They character assassinate them. They run against a fictional character. And so they spend enormous amounts of money lying about their opponent and lying about themselves. They pretend they're moderates, and while they're smearing their opponents. Is that pretty much what's happening in Texas, Ted?
That is exactly right. Listen, their agenda is profoundly unpopular. If they actually ran on open borders and higher taxes and destroying jobs, if they ran on releasing criminals from jail and more crime, if they ran on undermining Israel and supporting Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran, that would be a really unpopular agenda. So instead, they support all that, but they try to pretend they don't. And that's where money can be really effective. They just flat out lie. Let's take, for example, Israel. We just had the one-year anniversary of October 7th, a truly horrific moment in world history, one of the darkest days in history. After October 7th, every leader in America had a choice to decide, where do you stand? Do you stand with Israel, or do you stand with Hamas and Hezbollah? And sadly, an awful lot of Democrat politicians have failed that test. Colin Allred's record on Israel has been terrible. He has voted repeatedly against sending weapons to Israel. He has voted repeatedly against stopping BDS, against censoring Rashida Tlaib. In 2019, he invited a radical anti-Israel imam to the Capitol. This is an imam who has called for a third Palestinian intifada, has likened Israeli troops to Nazis, has called for the end of Zionism, and has called Zionists, those who form the modern state of Israel, quote, the enemies of God. Colin Allred, my opponent, praised this radical imam as, quote, the very best of North Texas. You look right now at the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses. They are funded by radical leftists like George Soros, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the Pritzker family. Those same four have given $80,000 to my opponent because they want a radical leftist. That's why AOC is campaigning for him. But he denies all of that. And you know what the media calls him? The media calls him a moderate bipartisan centrist, a unifier who brings people together, just like Nancy Pelosi, who he votes 100% with. It is dishonest, but it's why, if you're a conservative, the media is going to lie, ABC, NBC, CBS is going to lie, CNN is going to lie. So the only way you can communicate is you got to get up on paid television and paid radio and mail and social media, and every bit of that requires money. And it's why the folks going to tedcruz.org. It's not .com, it's tedcruz.org. The folks going and making a contribution at tedcruz.org right now make an enormous difference, because literally you make a contribution tonight, and we are on the air and communicating the truth. And this race will come down to a very binary choice. If we raise enough money because people go to tedcruz.org right now and support us, we will win, because we put out my record versus his record, and the people of Texas support my record. But if we don't raise enough money, if we continue to get outspent, we will lose. And it comes down simply to the question, do the voters hear the truth?
You know, Levinites, we've been with Ted since day one, before he was a senator. It's very important that we help out, because if we don't, who will? You heard what he said. It's tedcruz.org, tedcruz.org. Anything you can do, please do. The more you can do, the better. I know there's a lot swirling around in the world, but we don't want to wake up on Election Day and we take the Senate, we lose Ted Cruz, or we lose the Senate by one seat and we lose Ted Cruz. Ted is more than a senator. He really is a statesman. He's a leader. He's Mr. Conservative in the United States Senate. It's very, very important. And more than that, they view this as the first step in turning Texas purple to blue. And when they're done with Ted, they'll go after the others. And that's been the whole reason they've had the open border, to take out Texas and some of these other states so we can never win another presidential election again. We've got to put an end to this. What's his position on the border, Ted?
He is a hardcore open borders leftist. He has voted repeatedly for open borders. I'll give you an example that shows you just how extreme it is. There was a bill that Congress voted on this last year called the Police Act. The Police Act said if an illegal immigrant violently assaults a police officer, he should be deported. Now, anyone with any sense, the obvious answer is yes. Colin Allred voted no. I got to tell you, in Texas, if you give me any town in Texas, give me 100 Texans, give me all Democrats, and if you ask them if an illegal immigrant beats up a cop, should we deport him? Anyone who is not a moron would say, of course. But yet, Colin Allred consistently votes no. Let me show you how radical he is. Last week, Colin Allred signed a letter with over 100 other left-wing Democrats calling for changes in the military. You know what changes he wants? He wants drag shows on military bases. He wants taxpayers to pay for sex change surgeries for active duty military, and he wants taxpayers to pay for sterilization and castration of children on military bases. Now, that's a radical agenda, and that is who this guy is.
No wonder AOC loves him. Now, Did I read somewhere that the district attorney or former district attorney in Houston has endorsed you? If I read that correctly?
Yes. You read it exactly. She is the sitting district attorney in Houston. Her name is Kim Ogg. She's a Democrat. She's twice elected, has been elected to 2 terms. She's been a Democrat her whole life. But you know what? She's not crazy. She actually believes in locking up criminals. And I got to say, she's looking at what's happening to her party, and in particular looking at Colin Allred. And his record over and over again has been for letting violent criminals go. And so Kim Ogg, the sitting district attorney in Harris County, Houston, Texas, the biggest county in Texas, has endorsed me, is supporting me. And she said it's simple. She wants a senator, number one, that will support law enforcement and lock up criminals, and number 2, who will secure the border. You know, Kim Ogg is the district attorney right now who is prosecuting the 2 monsters who raped and murdered Jocelyn Nungary, that 12-year-old girl in Houston, beautiful little girl, raped by 2 illegal immigrants from Venezuela who Joe Biden and Kamala Harris released. And by the way, the catch and release policies that released them the very day they were apprehended are what Colin Allred supports. And she's prosecuting these guys right now. I'm really proud to have her support. And we're seeing a lot of common sense Democrats supporting me because they see just how extreme and radical the Democrats have gotten.
Meanwhile, Liz Cheney has endorsed Harris. Liz Cheney's going around in these Senate races endorsing other Democrats. She comes to Texas, and she endorses the radical leftists who you're running against, right?
You know, it really is sad. And I got to say, what has happened to Liz Cheney, she is unrecognizable. Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. There are people who just Trump broke their brains. And it's sad to see. It makes you wonder, did you ever believe anything you've said for your entire professional career? And if you're out there fighting against everything you said you believed, it does make you kind of scratch your head.
Well, let's do a Levin surge, America. I know the economic times are tough, but if you can help, please help. You hear what Ted's saying, and he's a little bit behind, and they're just throwing money, and they're lying, and they're smearing. And we can't afford to lose Texas, and we can't afford to lose Ted. It's just, it's like the break wall. It's the red line. And so if you can help, tedcruz.org, tedcruz.org. Don't put it off. If you can do it right now, that would be a great thing, and I would appreciate it, and he would too. And it's being done for you because he fights for us every damn day in that Senate. Ted Cruz, I'm going to see you this weekend on Life, Liberty, and Levin. Take care of yourself, my friend.
Thank you, Mark. You're a great American. You are the great one, and the men and women who listen to your show, you guys are fighting to save the greatest nation in the history of the world. Thank you for your love for America and your love for freedom.
Thank you, brother. You take care of yourself. He's a rare, rare gem, America. He really is.